What's up, YouTube? You checking out the Frequent Flyer, and you can fly your Leader 120 or Fighter 130 with your digital idle speed at whatever you want it to be. I'm happy to say that I figured out that digital idle speed problem we've been having with the Leader 120, and some people probably suspect that we're having that problem with the Fighter 130, but I figured it out. It's still only a power issue, and the reason being is I changed my minimum cell voltage in beta flight. It was up too high. It was at about 3.3 volts, and so what I believe that is that's the value that tells the flight controller when the cell voltage reaches this value, then the system resets or the system shuts down, the minimum cell voltage. So I turned that down to 2.8. I'm just guessing that that's what it does, but all I know is that when I changed my minimum cell voltage to 2.8 or 2.9, now these things don't fall out of the sky when you reach low level battery. When you reach your LVC and the buzzer starts going off for you to land it and the voltage is real low, when you have it up at 3.3 volts for the minimum cell voltage, it cuts off as soon as it breaks that threshold. So when it gets lower than 3.3 volts to maybe 3.2 volts, then these things brown out and do the flip of death, or the death roll people call it. But once you lower that value to 2.9 or even 2.8 to be safe, then it doesn't do that death roll. Now this micro here is the most power hungry of all these little micros that have come out with these 2.8 inch props here, almost 3 inches, because this thing has these are 1106 7500 kV motors. So I would imagine that this is having more draw than all of the rest of them. But I've managed to fly this thing with this 450 milliamp hour beta FPV 2S battery, 80C to 160C, for about 4.5 minutes. Almost 5 minutes I was flying this thing around and still flipping in the end and all, with my digital idle speed on 4.5. So I put it back to normal. Well, I never touched it on this one, and I tried this one. I put it back to normal and no more death rolls. I put this digital idle speed back to 4.5, and I lowered the minimum cell voltage to 2.9, and now I can do flips and all punch outs and everything, even near the end of the battery, and still no death roll. I mean, eventually it will death roll if you keep doing it. If you go past 5 minutes, it'll death roll. In my testing, that's what happens with these. But with these settings, it just doesn't death roll until the end of the battery. So I'm going to show you guys a flight with this, which is a pretty respectable battery. I think this is an awesome battery, really awesome, but I know it's at least regarded as respectable by the community. So I'm going to show you guys how well it flies. I'm going to use this one since we've been having the most problems with this one, most people, and I'm going to fly it with this, and we're going to see how far we get. Let's get it. It would have helped if I had the Devo on. So let's take off with it. So here we go. Let's do a punch out early on. We're in acro mode now. Do some flips. Let's do some power loops. Crazy power loops there. Whoa. punch out. Got some of the buzzer there. Whoa! Almost crashed there. Switched back to stabilized mode to get us back level again. It's like self-turtle mode. Got some of the buzzer. So we should be nearing end of the battery. Getting buzzer every time we punch. I've been flying it hard to try to get the battery to die quicker. With these props on, it's really quiet. That's the 3-minute mark there, guys. And there we go with the buzzer there. Let's try a punch out. The punch out there. Well past the 3-minute mark. And we're at the end of the battery now. The buzzer is going off at me. And still no death rules. So I'm convinced that that fixes the problem there. Let's see, how far are we in? We're at 4 minutes, guys. So we're 4 minutes in. Let's try a flip. 2 flips. So I'm convinced that's what it is, guys. Full flight with this thing. And no death rule. We're at 4 minutes and 20 something seconds. And that's way longer than you should be flying a brushless race drone anyhow. Most quads only get about 2 minutes, or 2.5 minutes. So let's bring it in. So that's the very end of the battery. It's screaming at me crazy. So that's it. Death roll problem fixed. No more digital idle speed changes and all of that crap. Thanks for watching.